A nurse returns home from her shift to find a man tied up in her kitchen and his captor hiding in the corner. She tries to run and call the cops, but the captor stops her and tells her he means no harm. The man he's captured is the man who raped his daughter, and he's brought him here to force a confession. But when the captured man's friends show up to kill everyone in the house, the nurse, the captor, and the tied up man have no choice but to work together to survive in the 2021 Shudder original home invasion thriller For the Sake of Vicious. I'm Connor Eyzaguirre.
I'm Colton Jenkins.
And this is Filmgazm. Happy Wednesday, everybody, and welcome back to the Filmgazm podcast. Very excited to have Colton back with us after the Predator sniped him on the 200th episode recording. Welcome back, buddy.
Thank you. When I got the bullet to the head, I thought my life was over, but I pulled a Doomslayer and Kratos and crawled my way out of the underworld, and I'm glad to be back.
We're glad to have you back.
Thank you.
Before we get started, I do have a couple quick updates on the rewind. This first one updates our episode on killer clowns from outer space. One of the weirdest movies I've ever seen, and a very interesting episode I had with Josh. It's always funny when Josh holds these films as sacred and I could care less because it turns into a very interesting conversation.
Wait, you don't like Killer Clowns from Outer Space?
No, I don't.
What? There's no other movie like it. There isn't.
I won't argue that. That is very true.
I went to Spirit today, and it's like they have a whole section for it now. Like they have costumes, they got props now. It's
Josh
great.
has one of the cotton candy guns from the original release of the movie, toy product line. I saw it at their apartment. I was like, that's neat. But out of nowhere, we randomly got a trailer for an upcoming video game based off the movie. Yeah, we're getting Killer Clowns from Outer Space, the game. That's what it's called.
Oh my god.
You can look up the trailer right now. It's set for a early 2023 release. Players can choose to play as one of 7 human survivors or one of 3 alien clowns. It's from the same developer as Friday the 13th, the game, similar gameplay, and it's going to be on PS4, PS5, Steam, and Xbox One and Xbox Series X.
Oh, okay. All right. So a little Dead by Daylight type situation. Okay.
Yeah. Just kind of you want to turn some humans into cotton candy, or do you want to snipe some clowns?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It looked interesting. I don't know if it looked like $60 interesting, but it looked interesting.
Yeah. No.
When it inevitably ends up on the discount rack, I will think about it.
Oh, or Game Pass. I might be on Game Pass. You don't know.
Oh yeah, there's that too. It is weird, just out of absolutely nowhere, no build up. Hey, remember that movie from 1988? We made a game.
I think it'll be cool if I don't know, I could see it as like a BioShock type game. Maybe clowns are everywhere. You're on their spaceship and you get to use clown guns instead of the plasmas you get. That'd be cool.
Yeah, it'll probably be pretty fun. Admittedly, a good party game.
Yeah.
And I wonder if it'll rejuvenate interest in the sequel they've been trying to get off the ground since the 80s.
So. I'm here for a sequel. I wouldn't mind a sequel. There's a 3D one, apparently. Return of the Killer Clowns from Outer Space in 3D. Oh my god. That's a title.
That's awesome. That's a great title. I mean, if you're going to call a movie Killer Clowns from Outer Space, don't distance yourself. Lean into that shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's happening. Early 2023. If one of us gets it and plays it, we'll have more updates. Our next update takes us back to our Hellraiser episode. A reboot has been teased for years, and we finally got our first look with an announcement trailer. Hellraiser will be debuting on Hulu on October 7th. David Bruckner, director of The Night House, is directing, and horror icon Clive Barker is producing for the first time since, I believe, the second or third movie. So this is a pretty big deal.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's going to be on Hulu?
Hulu. Yeah. Hulu owns Hellraiser now. And it's a straight reboot. Pinhead's being played by an actress this time. And a lot of people are like, what? Not aware that Pinhead's a woman in the book. But yeah, I know people don't.
Plus, I don't really think the gender of Pinhead matters.
It really doesn't.
No,
I just
no.
want a good movie. We haven't had a good Hellraiser movie since 1987. So
I've only seen the first one, and I love it because it's 100% the people's fault.
yeah, don't open
It
the
always is. They're like, no, I definitely want this. And then Hellraiser's like, okay. And like, oh, just kidding. And he's like, no, it's too late. I told you.
yeah. The second, like the skinless body of my like psychotic uncle or whatever the fuck it was starts showing up, I'm gonna be like, I'm bouncing out of this. I don't know if you heard our Hellraiser episode, but it had one of my favorite moments of our entire run of the show. Austin and I did that one, and we were discussing the movie, and towards the end of Hellraiser, I think her name's Christy. Uh, her new boyfriend is just there for all the crazy shit that's happening in the house with Pinhead like killing everybody and the Cenobite showing up, and he just watches from like the background with no words. And we were just like, what the hell is he like? He must really love her. Like he's ignoring all that insane demonic shit and just being like, just standing there, like,
Or he's into it.
or he's like, this just got way better. But I just thought like we had such a blast just talking about this guy who's just around for like he didn't know what was going on, and now all of a sudden the dead are crawling out of the floor, chains are ripping people apart. Yeah. I've seen the first one is a classic. I just bought like a souped up Arrow Blu-ray of it, and I've seen Hellraiser 2, Hellbound, and that is a weird fucking movie. I mean, it's Hellraiser, so obviously it's going to be weird, but like, there's a doctor who like harnesses the power of the box and like fucks up all the Cenobites, and that's all I remember because I was pretty young when I watched those. I way too young to have been watching those. I didn't know what S&M was. I just thought everybody looked uncomfortable. So, yeah, check out the new Hellraiser on October 7th. We will probably be doing something on this show for it. Yeah. So that's all for the rewind. So this might be a quick episode because there is virtually no production info on For the Sake of Vicious. And I thought that might have been like a Shudder thing. You know, their movie, like Shudder's a pretty niche audience. I mean, you either have it or you don't. There's really no other way to get a lot of these movies. So I just thought that might have been why. But that's not the case because, you know, I didn't have that problem when we did Psycho Gorman. I watched The Spine of Night, was able to find plenty on that. So it is just this movie.
That's weird, man.
Yeah. I like to usually start with the film's Wikipedia page when it comes to research, just to get a taste of where to go from there. But this is the first film I've ever seen that doesn't have one. So I'm going to piecemeal together what I could find and just hope for the best.
Great.
So I guess to start, what did you think?
I think I liked it. I don't think I liked the writing or like the dialogue or acting, but the action and the gore was pretty good. Like I kind of rolled my eyes when I think Nick had Alan like tied to the chair, or no, Chris had Alan tied to the chair, and he was like, "What do you want from me?" And he was like, "The truth." I was like, "All right." I was like, "Come on." And then about
for me, it was towards the end when Alan's like, "What do you want?" and the other bad guy is like, "I want it all." Like,
yeah,
what are you talking about?
There's also like a lot of weirdly comedic moments in this film, like I don't know, like they all just got into an argument or something, and then Alan, the guy who's tied to the chair, just decides to fall over, and the camera stays on Romina's face for a little too long, and it's weird. Or when he's having a seizure and she's like on the phone with her kid being completely calm and pushing Chris away to not beat him up. I was like, what the fuck is this movie, man?
It is totally okay to hang up on your toddler talking about candy when there's a dude having a seizure.
Yeah.
Totally okay. I thought it was hilarious that how unbelievably unprepared the goons were to take out a nurse and a dude who could barely fire a gun.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
What happened there? Was this their first day? Were these the pledges? Like, what happened here? Nobody brought a gun. Nobody brought a gun.
Oh, man. I also
wasn't bored. I'll say that.
I wasn't bored at all. But about halfway through the movie, when the home starts to actually be invaded, Chris says to Romina, he's like, "Look, I don't know what's going on, but I need you to help me." I was like, "Same, dude. I don't know what's going on either. Who are these people? Why are they here?"
He is asking an insane amount of loyalty
Yeah.
to this woman whose house he just co-opted for a torture sesh.
Yes. Yes.
For me, it's the character decisions here. It's like, what inspired her to not call the cops or try to run? Like, there was no loyalty to this guy whatsoever.
Yeah.
I don't know. No, the characters didn't make any sense.
No, they didn't. He even says at one point, he's like, "Why didn't you call the cops?" And she doesn't say anything. She just stares at him. I was like, "What? Why didn't you call the cops?" Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. So it loses a lot of points for structure, but it gains a lot of points for entertainment value and the stunt work and the makeup effects. I mean, the hammer in the fucking eye alone.
That was pretty brutal.
Yeah. And also I thought that guy was being like, built up to be this monster. This, he had tally marks in the helmet. He's like, you didn't see his face. I was like, oh, this is our monster. And then hammer in the eye and he's gone.
Yep. Immediately.
Screaming his head off.
Also, there's so many, you said character decisions. They just leave the dude tied to the chair while they go out back to like talk for a little bit and then leave a phone just sitting on the kitchen counter in front of him. Like, what are you guys doing?
Well, she frees his hands to make that phone call and then just leaves the knife there like he's not going to finish the job.
Yep, exactly. Oh my God, I know.
I kept laughing at that guy. He got kneecapped so many times.
Yes, he really did.
I mean, once it's like, but twice you're laughing.
Yep, exactly. I think the most like squeamish moment I had, there's something about, I don't know, like the back of my knees, but I think it's who gets stabbed there. I think it's Alan. He gets stabbed in the back of the knee, and that was gross. I don't like that.
Yeah, there were some real moments. For me, it was the broken glass in the guy's face. He grabs the glass and just rubs his hands on the bad guy's face.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck this is going on. I don't know why they're here, but I'm into this.
Also, I don't like I don't pretend to know anything about like, court proceedings or anything. I don't want to be too insensitive, but like if someone is raped, can't they like check the DNA?
Depends on if there is DNA. I mean, I don't want to be insensitive either, but like if he didn't, finish in, there might not be DNA, and also, he might have paid off if he did do it, which the movie's kind of unclear about that. If he did do it, he might have paid off some people. Clearly, he's got influence.
Yeah.
So it's a good to fair chance he would have gotten off just because of who he is and who he knows.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
But did he do it or did his partner do it?
I don't know. I think his partner did it.
But did Alan just use that as a way to get that guy killed so he wouldn't like suffer the sins? I mean, because the nurse was pretty quick to shove a crowbar in the guy's head.
It's true. I don't know, honestly. I would say it's left up to interpretation on purpose, but I don't think so. I think it's the writing.
Yeah, you're probably right. So before we go any further, I got a question. As is our new tradition. Thank you, Beyond the Bad. This film's conflict stems from Chris taking the law into his own hands by kidnapping the man he believes raped his daughter. And I'm just curious, where do you stand on vigilante justice? Do you think there are times where it's acceptable or necessary for someone to take the law into their own hands?
It's a tricky slope, honestly. Mm-hmm. I want to say yes, especially I don't want to get too political, but now our justice system is kind of shitty. But then you see people who like quote unquote take the law into their own hands, like Kyle Rittenhouse. and
Mhm.
that's pretty shitty. So I think if you take the law into your own hands, you can't let. I don't think you can let your morals go into account. I think it's law. So like I don't know, Peacemaker. He kind of I don't know if he really follows the law, but he doesn't really put his own morals into what he does. It's just strictly law.
Yeah,
Um,
it's true.
I think yeah, I don't. I think if you don't project into what you're doing, I think it's okay. But if you project your own morals into it, it's a problem.
It is really hard to not drag your own shit into stuff like that, your own
Oh
bias,
yeah,
pains, and I get that. It's really hard to do that. But also, like when I see a story about like some guy who caught some psycho like raping his daughter and he beat the guy to death and he didn't get off, like he did, he got off on it, not like sexually. I mean, in the law, like
oh
he
yeah,
he didn't go to prison for it. I like I applaud that shit.
oh
So
yeah, of course, yeah, yeah,
it definitely depends on the circumstance. I don't want it does sometimes feel like we're on the verge of like a Mad Max fucking wasteland here, and I don't know what's going to happen then. But
yeah,
right now, when we still do have a constitution, it's it's upsetting when things don't go the moral way, but it also is in some cases hard to determine exactly what the moral way is.
yeah, for sure.
But again, like if there was like a Punisher walking around, just taking out mob bosses, I'm not crying.
I'm not gonna.
Yeah,
No. I
like
feel like people would be more accepting of like a Spider-Man walking around than a Punisher walking around. But hey, you know what? Whatever. I don't think this world needs a Batman or a Punisher. It needs a Spider-Man. I feel
we've
like,
funny thing is we've got people with the means to become a Batman. They're just assholes who don't care
yeah,
about people at all.
yeah,
Like if I had that kind of money, that's probably like the third or fourth thing I'd do.
right, yeah,
But yeah, it's interesting living in a world where we do have the occasional, like I think of Dexter, like a serial killer who kills serial killers. But like it's not, because of his morals, it's because that's the best way to not get caught.
yeah. He's a psychopath. Yeah,
And there have been people like that who, killed murderers. And like what are they going to do? Send him to jail? They're just giving him a buffet.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought that would be an interesting question in this movie, especially like because we don't really know who's
hmm
who's the bad guy here until we meet the bikers. It's hard to gauge whether Chris has just lost his mind out of grief or if Alan really did this shit.
Oh yeah, of course. This movie reminded me a lot of not a lot of because I was gonna say Prisoners. Prisoners is a much better movie, but I was getting a lot of Prisoner vibes here.
So
And
was
Hugh
I.
Jackman's character is definitely like that vigilante type, bringing the law into his own hands, um, type of movie. And then yeah, the more I think about it, I don't really think there's been a lot of movies about like there's Kick Ass, but Kick Ass is meant to be funny.
Well, there's like whenever they do something like that, it's usually like an action slant or a comedy slant. It's very rarely in a dramatic, like realistic situation. Prisoners
Yeah,
is probably the best example of that.
yeah,
And look what happened there.
yeah. The movie was great.
Oh, such an awesome movie. But yeah, what he did to Paul Dano was incredibly fucked up and unforgivable.
Yep.
But yeah, I was thinking of Prisoners when I was watching this too. So yeah, I guess it really depends on the situation, and if I've never been in that position, I've never been in a position where I lost somebody due to somebody else, and grew to hate somebody over that. Like I've never been in that position. I hope to God I never am. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
And he had the means to do what he did too. Like he did it. So
Yeah. Um. So let's talk a little bit about the film. I don't really have a lot here. I have mostly like a bit on the filmmakers and some fun facts here. The film was written and directed by Gabriel Carrere and Reese Evanishin. Carrere has directed 6 films before this one, all of which are critically reviled, like 2.7 to 4.5 on IMDb. And I was like, I don't think looking into these is worth it.
oh, jeez.
Yeah. So this is his like highest rated film, and this isn't rated that great.
Oh, fuck.
And same with the other guy who directed 2 films prior, which are not critically acclaimed at all. But they're
Mm,
independent filmmakers doing their thing. They got a film on Shudder. Millions of people are going to see it. Good for them.
yeah. Yeah.
Uh, the film was shot over a span of 15 days in late 2019. That is insanely quick.
Holy fuck, man.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say I can tell, but yeah.
Well, typically, if you've got like one location and 3 characters, you can knock that shit out.
Yeah, that's true.
So I've got some scenes that were included in the script, but ended up getting removed due to a lack of budget and demanding schedule. So they had to kind of trim this thing down the best they could. So here's some stuff that didn't make it. Romina's backstory. Originally, the film opened with her recovering from a traumatic incident that happened in her basement. She mentions that at one point in the movie that she had been through trauma herself, and we were going to see that trauma. She has PTSD suffering from this. We don't really see that a lot. A lot of this got cut. Romina attempts to get the police involved. A cop comes to the door, gets sent away by Chris, who plays off the situation as an accident. I think that got cut because it makes Chris look like a bad guy, and he's kind of not the bad guy, but he's a bad guy, but he's not the bad guy. Gerald had a direct line to someone in the police department, was keeping them from coming to the house. So that was why the cops never showed up despite all the gunfire and the loud noises. And weird that there was only one trick-or-treater.
Yeah. Very weird.
Romina tries several times during the last half of the movie to call 911, but the cops don't show up because Gerald is keeping them holding there. The original ending had Chris, after mortally wounding Gerald, coming back into the kitchen and being enraged again at Alan for still being alive.
Oh my God.
Chris and Alan fight in the kitchen, which leads to them falling downstairs into the basement. And since, what happened to Romina happened in the basement, she's afraid of the basement, but she goes down there to confront her fears and finds them both dying, but still fighting each other, unable to make peace. She steps between them, ends this whole thing. Chris and Alan die staring at each other, angered that Romina has kept them apart. She goes back upstairs, sits down in Alan's chair, and just waits for the cops.
Okay.
Bit much, I think.
Yeah. Wow.
Earlier versions of the screenplay had the film taking place during the summer in a heat wave, a massive power outage. Originally, it was a collective of professional assassins and bounty hunters that attacked the house with multiple guns.
Okay, but why?
That does not come up. In all of this shit, that does not come up.
But why? It's like they had an idea, and they're like, yeah, let's do it. We don't need to think about it. Like, I get it now. He called his partner to come help him, but his partner was like, oh, this is the perfect opportunity to kill you and take over your position.
But position in what?
Exactly. Like what? He said, I want it all. All of what, my dude?
Are they gangsters? Are they like, did they run a biker gang? Like, what? Who are these people?
I have no clue, man.
So in the original idea of this professional assassins and bounty hunters attack the house, I mean, I assume this would be over pretty quick. I think, one guy with a revolver and a nurse with a hammer aren't going to stand up against a shit ton of bounty hunters.
Yeah, no.
The film played out as a massive shootout between Chris and the assailants, and it was much clearer in that draft that Alan was guilty. He did do it.
Alan did do it. Oh, okay.
Yeah. And Romina is the one who eventually kills him. One draft also included a midway twist where Chris is not getting the answers he wants and just fucking kills Alan out of spite. Just like, fuck it. I know he did it, and blows his brains out.
I would have liked that, actually. And then they deal with the aftermath.
Yeah, it would have been interesting because it does feel like in the movie that Alan's just kind of pointing the finger at Gerald as a way to deflect and just focus Chris and Romina's anger on him. So, yeah, I think, he probably did it. He's a piece of shit.
Probably.
So, that's all I got. The film was picked up by Shudder, released in April of 2021 as a Shudder exclusive. That is the place to watch it. If you have Prime, I think you can also watch it there if you have Shudder through Prime or AMC Plus.
Who was the kid in the photograph at the very end? The kid.
I think that was her son.
Why was he crying looking at it and then died?
I mean, I assume the kid framed in her house was her toddler. I guess because, just like, oh, I'll never see my children again, and this is a child, I guess.
I kind of wish she died too. Like I thought it would have been really cool. I thought they were gonna do it to where like Alan died. He still died looking at Chris, and Chris died looking at Alan. But then it would have been cool if like Romina also died in front of her. But then she goes to the door and gives the child candy. There's people there. Ask for help.
Yeah, there is just a bunch of people just watching her. I guess because they just think that, oh, it's Halloween. She just poured fake blood on herself. What a lazy costume.
But it's okay. But people are walking out in the street, and I know it's Halloween, but you see people walking in with masks, then you hear gunshots and screaming.
I don't know. Maybe those are very strong walls. I
I
got
guess I don't know.
maybe I
Also,
guess
she's
on
going to
Halloween
jail.
you just ignore a lot of shit because you're like, oh, it's probably fake.
She's going to prison. She's going to jail.
I don't think so. I think she can talk her way out of this. I mean, bunch of psychos, showed up in her house. Everyone's dead but her. She can talk her way out of this.
You think so?
I think so. I hope so. Or she dies of blood loss on the porch.
On the porch, she was like, I'm gonna have this piece of Halloween candy." It's in her mouth for like 20 seconds, and she's like, "Man, fuck this," and spits it out and throws it away.
It's
That's
not the
just another
time.
filming making choice where I was like, "Why? Why even? Why did you do that?"
It does feel like a lot of shit was made up on the fly. We're like, oh, that would be cool. What about this? Huh? This would be cool.
Yeah,
But you need somebody to be like, well, yeah, but why? And they didn't have that guy.
yeah.
uh,
Do you have a TikTok?
I do not.
There's this guy on TikTok who makes these videos of like people coming up with movie script ideas, and how he does it is he does a line of coke, and then he doesn't like a Mad Lib, and I feel like that's how this movie was written.
I feel like a lot of movies are written like that.
100%.
That's awesome. Have you ever seen a Key and Peele's Gremlins 2 sketch?
I think a long time ago, yeah.
I love that sketch so much. For those of you listening who haven't seen this, it's an from Key and Peele. Uh, they're prepping Gremlins 2, so there's a bunch of board members just sitting at this table, kind of pitching ideas, and Jordan Peele walks in as like the script genie or something, and he just starts greenlighting everybody's ideas. Like Hulk Hogan, sure. Brainy Gremlin, sure. Electric Gremlin, sure. Why not? It's in the movie because that movie has fucking everything, and it's so weird.
I didn't even know there was a Gremlins too.
This, frankly, all right, I'm alone on this one, but I prefer Gremlins 2 to the first one. I think Gremlins 2 has a lot more to offer. I think it's more fun, and Christopher Lee is the bad guy, so there it is.
Really?
Yeah, but I do love that the idea of that being pitched and everybody just being like, yeah, sure, why not put it in the movie? Because that's
Oh,
what
there's a female Gremlin. Oh my god.
I
Aren't
mean,
they doing a reboot?
they've been trying to do that for a long time. I think it's turned into Gremlins 3 now. So it's not a reboot, it's going to be a sequel, but it's been back and forth like that for decades.
Oh,
Yeah. Joe Dante, I don't know what he's done in a long time. Uh, but I don't know, he could use the work, I guess. I'd love to see a third Gremlins.
yeah. I'd be in there. Yeah.
For the Sake of Vicious has an IMDb score of 5.4, which is not great, and a Rotten Tomatoes score of 78%, which is pretty good. Critics' consensus reads, quote, "For the Sake of Vicious delivers on the gory promise of its title, with a no-holds-barred thriller that should delight fans of pulpy B-movie splatter." And yeah, that's pretty accurate. Like, if you just do not care about story whatsoever and you just want to see some bikers get fucked up, this is a good movie for you.
Yeah. Are they bikers though? I don't know who they are.
I assume because I know the one guy, Flint, he's a biker. He's got the helmet, but everyone else is just goons in Halloween masks
Man.
who showed up to this house with just like knives.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Even the tagline for the movie, it's nothing good this way comes. Okay, but why? Why is that your tagline? One night of violence they'll never forget. What do you mean?
They're dead. Who's they? Everyone but her, and probably her too, is dead.
Dude, I love the part when they're like all fighting upstairs and she's like in the hallway And then she like looks to her left, and there's two people standing at the top of the stairs, just looking at her. And then she goes back in the room, grabs the gun, and they're like, "Oh shit!"
They just watched like overpower them. It's two people who can't fight.
This is what I mean. There's so many moments in this movie that like make it a comedy. I feel like I don't know.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. So let's go through this a little bit, talk about some highlights. I thought it was weird choice to have kind of the bitchy receptionist give Romina a little shit for taking some candy.
Yep,
Like it's Halloween. Everybody deserves candy on Halloween.
exactly.
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh, it's not for me. It's for my son. It's his favorite." She's like, "Yeah, mine too." And she's like, "All right, bitch," and then takes an even bigger handful.
How about you go to Dollar Tree and get your kid a bag of Smarties? Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Oh my god.
But yeah, and then she just goes home and finds this dude tied up in her kitchen, and this other guy is like, "Hold on."
He's like, "Whoa, whoa, look, look, look. I know what it looks like."
And then fucking chases her through the house and like breaks down doors, and it's like, "I'm not gonna hurt you." It's like, whoa,
Yeah.
you sure?
Oh,
And he chose her because she's the nurse who took care of his daughter when she was in the hospital after the rape. And such a weird connection to make. And even she's like, "I don't even remember you that well. Like, why are you doing this? Why did you pick me?"
and also, how does he know where she lives? I'll be damned if any. Like, I'm not a nurse. I'm just a medical technician. But like, if any if any, I'll be damned if anyone that I take care of like knows where I live. That's fucking creepy. How do you know, and why?
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I'm a instructional assistant, and I'll help those students out, but I'm not giving anybody my address.
Yeah, no, what the fuck? I feel more of like the Sixth Sense where his patient finds out where he is. Like that's more believable than a nurse.
Yeah, it's it's not important. It's not important. Clearly,
Yeah, no.
and yeah, he tells her the deal, and is like, "Hey, this guy is the guy who did it," and he's like, "Nope, I was acquitted." Chris pulls a daredevil, "Not by me."
Yeah. He even says he's like, she's like, "Is this the guy?" And he's like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Damn, I know this guy. How? Because he's your fucking landlord. Why does that matter to you?"
Also, what are the fucking odds that the guy that Chris thinks raped his daughter is also the landlord of the nurse who took care of said daughter?
Yes.
Small
Yep.
fucking world.
God. And then he says, what does he say? He's like, "Oh, I have proof that you were in my house. I have proof that you did it." And he's like, "Why? Because of the thumbprint that I put there? Because I'm sleeping with your wife?" What? Why? What do you mean you? He's like, "I purposefully put the fingerprint there because I'm sleeping with your wife."
It's like, do you want this guy to beat the shit out of you?
I know.
You're tied to a chair. He's clearly incredibly unstable. All of that anger and rage is pointed at you, and he has a giant fucking gun and a big hammer.
Indeed.
And also, like, again, small fucking world. It's like,
Yeah.
and he's sleeping. It's like a soap opera.
Yeah. Yeah.
Waiting for the evil twin brother to come out of the basement.
Yep. And she's his brother.
But when he starts working on Alan with the hammer, like shit gets cringy real fast. He
Yeah.
just whacks him in the kneecaps, goes at his balls.
Yeah, that was rough.
Oof. And Alan's just like, "I just want to see my kids again." Like, oh boy. And Romina just stands there, like, door's not locked. I mean, you could go to the neighbors, you could do something, anything about this.
No, she just stands there and watches.
Unbelievable.
Like, damn, this shit's kind of crazy. Bro, the acting in this movie is it's not bad. It's just cringy. It's cheesy.
She's giving off total, like, not my department vibes.
Yeah, she really is. She's like, "Hey, no, not here." And she keeps asking. I think she asked a total of like 3 times. She's like, "Why are you guys in my house again?"
Yeah, she keeps giving Chris shit like, "I can't believe you would do this to me. I want you out of my house." And Chris just gives her this blank stare the whole time. Like he's got blinders on to anything but fuck this guy up.
Yeah.
She just is not getting through.
But like, why did he take her there? I don't understand. I mean, why did he take him to her house? Does he not have his own house? Where were they at the very beginning of the movie in like that warehouse? Just do it there.
I guess his daughter's there. I don't.
Why take? I get it because he's like, hey, keep him alive as I torture him.
Oh yeah, that's why. Yeah, he's like, she knows how to keep people alive. She'll graciously do that for me while I fuck this guy up. That's the thought process of a whack job.
Oh man.
And then Alan gets the phone call. I love he tells her, like, there's a number you could just, all you got to do is text and people will show up. And then what does he do? He calls them.
Yeah.
It's like, why say that?
Yeah.
And then he calls them, and Gerald, I guess, is his name. It's only if you only know that if you're reading the subtitles, because it'll say like Gerald screams or something like that.
Yeah.
And Gerald's like, huh, a golden opportunity. And he sends the boys. And what do the boys do? Immediately get fucked up.
Yeah.
Unreal. Like they just, Chris walks in with a gun and just starts blowing people away.
Mm-hmm. Also, I love how Gerald never speaks. He has like one line in the entire movie.
When you're in charge, you don't need to talk. You have people to do that.
He just holds up 3 fingers, points at the house.
You just stand outside and just like, keep watch.
Yeah.
I guess there's not a lot of kids in this neighborhood because it's just that one little girl who knocks on the door. Chris loses his fucking mind and bashes that one guy's head in with a crowbar. I was like, that's a lot.
Yeah, that part was pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah, I was like, around that time, once shit started, it did not stop.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah, I'll give that. And I love the music, like the techno kind of dangerous music. I really like.
Yeah, I liked it. Have you played Dying Light?
I've seen people play Dying Light.
The combat music when you're fighting people reminded me. It was very reminiscent of that. So I love that soundtrack. I listen to it as I'm driving to work. It really pumps me up.
You're gonna find this hilarious. It reminded me a bit of Ghost of Mars.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah. So the first wave doesn't quite cut it. So Gerald's like, we need more. This is clearly a worthy adversary. And calls in the big guns, which is Flint, Mr. White Helmet, who is just built up to be this badass. We meet him like carving in tally marks to his helmet of like all the people he's killed, I assume.
Mm-hmm.
He's leading these these bikers. They show up to the house. Flint walks in and he immediately gets a hammer in the fucking eye.
He's on the cover. He was in that weird flashback scene, and Alan was like, hey, he can't be near my house. Because he's so violent and unhinged. He's adding another scratch tally mark to his helmet and immediately gets dropped.
Yeah, by, again, like an unhinged guy who can't fight and a nurse who I'm assuming has just worked a very long shift.
Yes.
And just hammer in the eye, and then she pulls the hammer out and he starts screaming again, and then Chris just cuts his fucking throat.
Yeah.
This is our Michael Myers. Okay.
Oh my God.
But that bathroom fight was badass.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I love they have no options but to just use whatever they can grab.
I like that. I do like when fight scenes get brutal and gritty and like desperate like that.
Yeah, me too.
Like reach for anything. That's a big reason I love. I know it's like, it's losing its popularity, but I will always love the fight scenes in The Walking Dead when they fight people because it's very brutal. Like they use fists and all that shit.
Yeah.
It was good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm with you. I miss the grittiness of Walking Dead, like prior to like season 8.
Yeah.
I still haven't finished that. I don't know if I will. But yeah, she's using the back of the toilet to, like, the tank cool. Like bash people's heads in, and Chris is just picking up knives and slitting throats as he gets a hold of people.
Again with the comedy, did you pick up on that one scene where the dude he stabs Alan in the leg and his knife snaps in half? Yeah. Like the blade breaks off. Yeah.
Alan keeps getting in the leg. Like Every time someone goes after him, he gets it in the legs.
Yep.
Even when Gerald shows up, he shoots him in the kneecaps after he's already had his kneecaps broken. And then he's just like crawling around on the ground. Alan is he's useless.
Oh yeah, he's just there.
Yeah. And I am just increasingly amazed. The more people go in that house, that none of them brought a gun.
Yeah.
I can't believe that. Not even Gerald. He uses Chris's gun.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I love the part when Chris has the dude's head in the freezer or the fridge, and Romina like crawls over to his body. Like she's bleeding out. She's in a lot of pain. But she crawls over to his body to like, what does she hit him with? It's like a fucking hanger or something, I think. Just hits him on the back. And I was like, what are you doing?
I think it was a kettle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it is funny. Just I wonder if Gerald's like in just unbelievably like irritated or impressed by them, or like this is my SEAL Team 6. Really?
Yeah. Oh god. And then it takes that one dude, I think on the second round, it takes him like 15 minutes to just open the front door.
Yeah. Yeah. And Romina gets stabbed quite a lot. And
yeah, she really does.
Just walks. In fact, everyone gets stabbed quite a lot. And I guess the adrenaline is outweighing the blood loss because they keep going.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
So Gerald has Chris pinned, starts punching him. This weirdly personal punch. It's like you didn't train your guys well enough for this. This is on you. And Chris grabs a bunch of broken glass and just rubs it in Gerald's eyes. And I was like, oh, that was great. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, that was really good.
And Gerald's just like, fuck, and ends up on the ground. And that's when Alan's like, oh, by the way, he's the guy. But he doesn't say that to Chris. He says it to Romina, which is interesting. Probably should have said that to Chris.
Yeah, for sure. Should have.
But Romina holds up a picture of the daughter, and Gerald just like rolls his eyes like, fine, you got me.
Yeah.
And she just pushes a crowbar into his fucking.
Yeah, that was cool. I mean, it was gross, but it was cool.
That was vicious. I mean, where did this come from? I mean, she went from get out of my house to
I'll kill him.
Crunch.
Yeah. Maybe if she was raped in that like deleted part of the film, maybe, or maybe her kid was or something.
If they had included that, it 100% would have been Gerald raped her too.
Oh yeah,
yeah, that would have come up because again, small world. There's only 5 people in the world of this movie, and they all
are in
all the time.
Yep. Do you watch Saturday Night Live, or did you ever watch Saturday Night Live?
Yeah, from time to time.
Did you ever see the skit they do with the Californians?
I like that one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what this movie is. Everyone is sleeping with everyone. It's everything is a big plot twist. That's what this movie is. Yeah.
Did you take the 405 to get here?
How did you know? Because I was in the car next to you with your wife. Yeah.
Oh, that was good. That was a good one. Yeah, Romina is bleeding out pretty badly, walks around, decides to have some candy and spits it out like this is not the time for candy. And just decides to wait around while people walk around her and just ignore her because that's what people in America tend to do when they see somebody in distress.
Yep. 100%.
And that's it. We don't know who this syndicate was. We don't know what this power Gerald had over the city was. We don't know even where this is or anybody's last name or anything.
No, we don't know anything.
Yeah. But you know what? I've seen worse.
Yeah, that's true.
Here are 2 Filmgazm facts for the sake of vicious. Number 1, the film's many fight sequences were done 100% practically on set with the stunt performers, special effects technicians, and makeup effects personnel. So everyone was there coordinating this in real time.
Like as they were filming?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, actually.
Visual effects were only used for a handful of muzzle flash shots. So whenever anybody fired a gun. But other than that, all the fight sequences were happening pretty much in real time.
Dang, that's really cool. And that's be a lot of choreography then.
Yeah. Well, also here's my number 2. The 4 main cast members performed all their own stunt work in the fight sequences. Like there's no stunt performers for the 4 mains. Like that's really them doing that shit.
Damn, that's really cool, actually. And I would assume that since we don't see anyone else's face, they're probably all stunt people too.
Yeah, that would be a weird ask for the director to be like, all of you people whose faces we don't see, we need you to be here too.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all. Like, there's not a lot written about this, but I was able to find, a drop. I give the film a 7. It's a decent flick, but it has little to no story. It drops us in the middle of an ongoing conflict without really telling us why or who these people are. And I mean, that can work in a horror film sometimes, but not always. We need some context. We need to know why we care about these people. It's
Yeah.
sometimes, but a 7. I didn't hate it. I'd probably watch this again.
Yeah. I'll give it a 6 just because I don't think I would watch it again. I might like show someone or tell someone, hey, you should, if you have time, check this film out. It's not boring.
That's true. It's not boring. I don't know if I'd recommend this to people. I feel like this can either be a like, what else you got, or a like, really, that's the best you got.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna go home invasion recommendation, I would probably go like, The Strangers or Knock Knock or something else. But
Stranger's pretty good.
Yeah.
For me, I know it's, it was it's not great, but the first Purge movie is so good, I think.
Really, this is the one I don't like from
Really, I just think it's so intense.
It is. I think just for me, it was like, and we saw this later on in the franchise. Like, you're going to introduce this incredible world of crime is legal one night a year, and then you're just going to confine that to one house.
Yeah, I see that.
But then in this, in the sequels, I got my national purge, so it worked out. But yeah, I get that. It's,
Funny Games also is great.
Caleb was recommending that last week. Yeah, I got to check out Funny Games.
It's really good.
I really like Hush.
She should have died. I'm sorry. She should have died. I don't hate that movie, but anytime says, "Oh, the movie was so good," no, it's not. She would be dead immediately. She's deaf. She's deaf.
Yeah, but he was more about like fucking with her than he was about just straight up killing her. It was more about the game for the guy than it was about just murder.
I guess, but she should have died.
You can never end these movies with the good guy dying because that's just too fucking bleak. We always need to have the bad guy get theirs.
I guess so. Yeah.
But then again, like last week's with the Strangers, that they kill everybody. So.
Yeah. The second one is awful.
Caleb told me it was good.
No, it's not good.
All right. So I guess I'm the tiebreaker. I got to check this out.
Check it out because it's not good. Oh. At least I don't think it's good, but who knows?
I could see this getting a sequel down the road, explaining a little bit more of the world. Maybe Romina made it out, and like whoever succeeds Gerald is like, oh, there's a survivor. We got to take care of that. Go get her son or something like that.
Yeah.
Like for the sake of, I don't know, rage or something. Just
for the sake of rage. There we go.
I'd watch that.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, this is an interesting film. Watch it on Shudder if you really want to check it out. I think this is going to be our shortest episode since I was doing it by myself, which is not my fault. Write more about the fucking movie so I can talk about it more.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for listening, everybody. If you like the show, you know what to do. Feel follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Filmgazm Productions. You can also suggest films for us to check out through our email at filmgazm@gmail.com, or just send us a message to the socials. If you want to support the show through Anchor, you can click on support this podcast. We appreciate it. And as always, check out the website, filmgazm.com, where we've got reviews, articles, trailers of upcoming films, and all of our shows. Next week, we continue our random picks with a critically acclaimed French horror film from 1960 called Eyes Without a Face. A surgeon causes an accident that leaves his daughter physically disfigured and goes to insane lengths to give her a new face. Considered one of the most influential horror films of the 1960s, Eyes Without a Face is currently streaming on HBO Max if anyone wants to see it in time to hear us talk about it. I'm working on trying to make this one a extra super special show. So we'll see if that happens. But I do love these random picks. I'm getting to see all sorts of weird shit I never would have watched. Don't miss the 1976 remake of King Kong on Fridays Beyond the Bad, and the 2010 heist thriller The Town on Oscar Sunday. Very excited about both these films. Until then, don't kidnap anybody unless you are 100% certain that they hurt your family. And if you're a gang member, make sure you don't forget to bring a gun to an execution. I probably shouldn't be giving out that advice, but if you are a gang member, you probably already know that. Reading it, I'm like, I probably shouldn't have said that. Keep watching movies, and we'll see you next week.